Alrighty, so I figured to just kind of might as well recap what I did over the weekend, kind of sparsely. Reconnected all of the coolant lines. Those are pretty much self-explanatory. There's only maybe 2 of them that you could possibly get confused because of the sizes, but they all kind of just lined up exactly where they're supposed to go. Unfortunately, I'm not sure. Yeah, it's showing up decently enough. There's cracks in that one, and that one goes underneath the intake manifold and hooks up to a tiny connection there. I feel like I should take that off and replace that before I try to start it up, because I feel like it's just going to leak immediately and directly on top of the alternator, no less. But that'll be for another day. Installed the battery box most of the way, and then mounted my remote reservoir for the Idemitsu premix. So far it's not leaking, it's going all the way down there. I got the nice connectors on both sides. Got this nice little sight glass here so you can see when it's getting low. And I couldn't find an elbow for this. Should work. I might try to hunt one down. But I just took off a piece of hose and put the little breather on there. That way, no matter what the pressure is doing, it should function. Actually, that's right. I put a little check valve in there too, so it can only suck air in and it can't put any droplets or anything else back out. Which means when it's hot out like this is, okay, it's not that hot, depending on the temperature difference, but basically that could build pressure, which would only help to feed the premix into the oil injectors. So positive. Nevertheless, it's not going to struggle and pull a vacuum, and that's the important part. I'm not worried about boiling the oil, but I am worried about it fighting too much with the zone adapter. So there's that so far. I think I'm going to try to crank this thing over by hand straight into the centric shaft bolt just to get some more stuff flowing. I did have an oil leak there, and on the other oil cooler. Who would have guessed that the car known for leaking oil coolers has leaky oil coolers? But you know, it is what it is. So I'll have to take a look at that, see what I can do about it, do some more research. All the research I've done for the most part has been regarding the engine and its rebuild and assembly. So that'll be fun. Oh, let's put the crash bar back in. And of course put the cold air, well, at least the first part of the cold air intake on. Look at the size of that filter. This thing's gonna suck air. Nevertheless, we'll continue on later. Alrighty, so I've done half a dozen things. One of the big things I guess I should mention here, just in case, you know, anybody else is gonna do the same stupid mistake I did. There's a line all the way back there that was apparently actually the vacuum for the OMP system, for the actual injectors. It goes around and hooks immediately. Yeah, that's supposed to go up and around and hook into your intake. For some reason, I had that plugged straight into the coolant, or one of the coolant sides of the throttle body. That would have been terrible. So I fixed that around, found the correct, it's actually a nipple cast into the engine block. So I hooked that in there, brought that up, and then brought this one around and plugged it in there. Got the cold air intake hooked up. This came with the vehicle. I didn't purchase this, although honestly it doesn't look half bad, and it's actually a cold air intake. It takes the cold air, like the air's coming this way, it takes the coolest the air is ever going to be and sucks that straight into the engine. And after that, the air gets dissipated to shit like, you know, the AC cooler or the oil coolers, or radiator. So I also got the zone adapter installed. Literally just bolted it to the battery box, but it is decently tight. Battery box isn't the tightest. This is my current temporary fix. I think I might have talked about this earlier, but I'm going to talk about it again now. For the most part, it's not leaking or nothing, so I'm good with that. It's got a breather, so it never holds pressure or vacuum. Aside from that, I think I have everything plugged in. I just turned the key over, like, not turned the engine over, just turned the key to run like 5 or 6 times. I wasn't really counting, to make sure that the injectors and the entire fuel line is primed. And I don't smell a trace of gasoline. I did put oil in the engine a while ago, so that's in there. I'll still need to put coolant in here, and I suppose I might as well go ahead and do that, because at this point we're ready to start trying to turn it over. one of these days we're gonna start this video with this thing actually running. I just had to watch through my other videos because this has been going on for about the past 3 weeks. I've been on whatever this stage is supposed to be. And now I'm already forgetting all of it. So I tried to turn it over and it did nothing. I mean, like, actually nothing. I got it, I was able to get the lights and everything to turn on and whatnot when I had the battery plugged in. Pretty much everything else works. I can hear the fuel pump kicking on and priming, as I think I said a bit ago. I don't remember anymore. And then when I go to turn the key, this dash cluster does nothing. It doesn't really dim or anything close to that. And then the center console over there, the infotainment system and the air conditioning and everything else, that actually goes out completely, which is weird to me. I figure if there's too much of a draw and it's not doing anything, everything should dim at the same time. I think I can recall back when, before I did any of this, when I would go to start it up, everything would dim at the same time, so I'm not quite sure what's going on there. So I came over here, started playing with the relays. By the way, these plastic pieces on the relay housing are brittle, and I now have an easy access starter. Might be able to. I'm not sure if you were able to pick that up on the microphone. Yeah, I can just, come over here to the engine bay and press the button now if I want to try to start the engine. So I went through and started looking at this, and the relay functionality of it works. And there's, I think the multimeter is reading about 92 ohms for the electromagnet inside of it. I'm not sure if that's proper or not, but the ignition relay is the only other one in here that is the same exact relay, and it reads the same. It reads to 92 ohms across the electromagnet pins, so not quite sure about that one. Can't both be bad at the exact same resistance. At least I feel like they shouldn't be able to. There is a 60 amp fuse in here, and that one was blown, but I don't know when it was blown because I didn't check that. I didn't realize there was one in there before I had tried to turn the key over. So the only other 60 I had that was free was for the air pump, which we don't really care about and is not necessary to starting this up. So I swapped them, tried again, still nothing, but it wasn't blown this time, so that's something. So I went through and started probing, and we'll put this over here to continuity, which basically means, let's see if I can get this to work right. We're gonna put, basically if these two probes touch, have any kind of connection at all between them, thing will just make a sound, and it'll also measure the resistance in ohms at the same time, which is pretty great. So if we were to say put this one on one side of the relay's pinhole and use this one to go to either the positive or negative, I don't remember which is which, or are these both grounds? I think these are both grounds. I'm not entirely sure. I could probably trace the wires up to figure out better, but I don't think it matters, because if I put it here, it makes a noise, and if I put it here, it makes a noise. I feel like it should only do that at one of them, and they both do it. If I set this one up right first. If I set this one up right first. Okay, come on. I need to use 4 hands here. Or you could just trust me that I was doing it before, but that kind of defeats the purpose of doing a video. Okay, well, it was doing it a bit ago. Maybe the issue has resolved itself. That seems unlikely. I also feel like no matter what, there should be continuity between each of these pins and a corresponding terminal. So what the hell's going on here all of a sudden? There's a diode in place. Let's flip these guys around. There we go. I can barely see what I'm doing here. I know I can barely see what I'm doing here. Okay, well that's weird. It was doing it a minute ago, but I had continuity between any of the pins and any of those. I think I can best demonstrate it on the back pin. that I do have continuity for both of those. That to me signifies that there is a problem. How widespread of a problem is it? Let's go over here to ignition. Does the same thing. So if one pin goes to both of those, unless they are actually both grounds, there should be a way that could test that. This is not the best vehicle to rest things on while you're working. Let's grab our ground, put it up here. Of course, there's gonna be bugs everywhere. I need 5 more hands at least. Okay, I have continuity between my ground and my positive. Should I have continuity between my ground and my positive? That's a weird question. Because I feel like there's probably stuff open between the two that go back around and into it. And at the same time, that's a brand new starter, although I didn't box test it, so it could be bad out of the box. Seems unlikely though. It's weird how everything else works on the inside of the vehicle though when I put the battery in here. Huh, that's a confusing one. Let's try seeing if there's continuity between, let's rest this guy on positive. That's resting good enough. No continuity, no continuity. So maybe these guys are both grounds only. Which I would not understand how that would work. Only grounds coming in. One pin can feed to both of those. That doesn't seem right. At the very least, one of these should read something from. Trying to see if I can see anything on the multimeter while I'm shoving these guys in here. If that's the case. So I'm getting nothing between the battery and the fuse, or at least one of the pins on the fuse box. Did I blow to 120? I don't even know how the hell you get that thing out of there. It doesn't quite look like it. Maybe you guys can see better. I can look at the footage afterwards. Doesn't look blown. So this outside pin always has nothing? That doesn't seem to make sense. Although this is fuses and relays, so I'm trying to remember so much about electrical stuff. Clearly I have not worked on anything like it in a while. So much so to the point I'm trying to check things and my ground isn't even on my ground anymore. Ooh. That's something for a second there. I think this one messed up. Yes, it did. Come on. If you guys think this seems painful, well, that's why you're doing it with me live. We shall all suffer together. Come on, work with me, damn it. Right, maybe I can shove this in here. Trying to shove this guy directly in here. It's amazing I'm even holding my phone right now, honestly. Okay. Hold on. Now that that's in there, good. It's not having continuity with positive. That doesn't make sense. Let's come back over here real quick. Let's check some of these fuses. One of the nubs should have ground going to it. Sometimes I'm making good connections with things, and sometimes I'm not, and it's way too inconsistent. Which is just weird. It should not be this inconsistent. Okay, that one's got good touching. That one I can't get it to. Which makes sense, kind of. I was able to get that to do something a little bit ago, but now it doesn't want to. I have also gone through here and just placed in a bunch of extra fuses in these spare slots. Because this doesn't have all the fancy shit in it, but it makes for nice spare fuse holders. No problem with the probe tip? What's going on here? Okay, so those aren't grounds, they're apparently positives. We can test that here in a bit. Feel like that should be grounded. How about that? Nope. How about that? Nope. Okay, so we do have, for the most part, proper grounding. It seems to be temperamental. So, my understanding that this was wrong, those are positives, and this is just a loop of positives going in and back down. So if I take this, bring it over here, and now manage to try to prop it up onto my positive terminal. Let's verify. Do have continuity. These guys are powered. That one is still powered. How is this powered all the time? There can't be continuity between positive and negative, can there? Wait a second, that's going to that. Do I still have continuity here? I do, something's shorting. That's what's going on. Because I should not have continuity between the positive terminal and this bolt right here on the body. So something somewhere got severely messed up. Okay, that I want to say that should be easy to fix, but I have no idea where to begin because I thought I connected everything up nicely. Let's go ahead and turn this off before I kill my multimeter. Electrical issues, aren't they the greatest? So, I guess I'm gonna have to go and start looking up ways to try to diagnose this. Nothing's pinched anywhere, which is weird. You'd think if that was going to be a problem, then it would be a bit more obvious. Makes sense. No, that still didn't make sense why that popped. Because it still didn't pop the second time. What would be... Now here's a curiosity. No, kind of. Because the... I'm not entirely used to the starter system on this. Basically, there's just positive wires. One goes to the solenoid, one goes to the motor itself, and they just ground straight through the, well, technically the bell housing of the transmission. So I wonder if maybe that's how technically we have a short, but then that should be why we need the relay here. And there's no connection between those. I don't know. I guess I'm gonna have to go look this one up. If you guys have any ideas, let me know in the comments. Or if you've seen other people do this and know what mistake I made, for the love of God, please tell me, because I have no idea. And I think we are gonna go ahead and put our ignition relay back in. I have a picture of it, and I don't think we're going to need to replace it. It should be good. That's our horn relay. I removed that. And place that one right there on top. All the bugs are coming out now. Yeah, it's a confusing one. I have no idea how we have a short. I'm gonna have to think about that one. Because there was nothing electrical even on this thing, when I put it in put the engine back in mounted it up the transmission, there was the one cable, but it's out of the way, and there's a clear seal all the way around the engine and transmission. So that can't be the case. It was working before, now it is not. So basically that's got to be something I did afterwards. This one's going to be fun. Tracking down the smallest of electrical bugs. And hoping I didn't fry anything along the way. Just, you know, there's no reason that I shouldn't have fried something. Oh, the joys. Yeah, I'm going to have to think about this one for a while. So, hopefully this wasn't too much of a waste of your guys' time. If you ever consider rebuilding a vehicle, I highly recommend starting with something that's carbureted, because then you won't have almost any of these issues. That being said, if you guys could like, comment, or subscribe and watch me fuck up some more, by all means, I'd appreciate it. I'll see you next time. Have a good one.